Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to stage Rick Jewell, Oracle Senior Vice President of Supply Chain and Manufacturing Applications.
Thank you. That was a great and a little scary video, but I think it's very true. The time is now for the Oracle Supply Chain Cloud, and for a lot of the reasons that was in the Alex video. We have 90 minutes together, and again, thank you all for coming. I trust many of you are coming from the Larry session, but we have 90 minutes, and we have kind of an action-packed 90 minutes to go through. Have a chance for me to talk a little bit about what we're doing and why it is time for the Supply Chain Cloud. We've got 4 or 5 customer videos that we're going to show of our great customers who are doing work and what they've accomplished and the benefits they've accomplished. I'm going to have a couple of people from Deloitte come up and talk about what they've accomplished with some of our customers. Having Brandon from Titan International come up and tell you his story as to what he has done with our applications in concert with our IT applications, and still have time at the end to do a demo of our brand new user experience called Redwood. So hopefully we can fit that all in, and so let's get rolling. So why transform? And why think about the Oracle Supply Chain Cloud? Why digital? And these are just some quotes from people like McKinsey and others, but what you can gain by thinking about a digital transformation. You can gain 30% productivity and cost savings by going through a digitization. 40% and even more manufacturers are going to release a product as a service this year. And if you aren't thinking about releasing products as a services, you're already behind. 22% reduction in time for new product development, and a 20% reduction in inventory due to the better looking at syndicated data and looking at other things that are available now that can be brought into our planning systems to make for lower cost of inventory, better forecasts, and the like. So a lot of very compelling things and compelling reasons. This asks the question, is your on-prem systems in the way? I would put to you, your on-prem systems are the biggest hindrance to you being able to digitally transform your organization. It is a fact. Current on-prem systems are terribly fragmented and are barely able to even encompass the business processes that you have today, much less thinking about the business processes of the future. Then there's what we call technical debt, of which I think the 70% estimate's probably low. But the 70% of your IT budgets that are spent on maintaining the hardware, maintaining your custom systems, maintaining the customizations that you've built on top of other systems, basically keeping the lights on in the organization, and 70% of your budget is being used for that purpose. And then lastly, the general feeling, and again, these are surveys that were done and opinions, but the inflexibility to really move forward, to get into servitization of your products, and the lack of flexibility for you to really be able to bring new processes, new capabilities, and thus generate additional revenue is very, very difficult, if not impossible, because of the nature of the on-prem systems that we have today. Speaking of which, here's the first of our videos. Again, one of our great customers, Strixon Cleveland, who have taken advantage of moving to the supply chain cloud to really come out and change their business model. Of course, they are continuing to sell to golf stores and pro shops, but now they've gotten into a custom club capability, golf clubs specifically built for you, direct to consumer. So let's go ahead and play this video, please.
Strixon Cleveland Golf, we're golf club manufacturers. We're also a ball manufacturer. Our golf clubs are worldwide known. We have a full complement of products. Domestically, we have about 6,000 customers, and we're doing operations in 26 countries around the world. 20% of our business is the custom products. We offer a lot of product variations to the consumer. Because we have so many items, it's a little difficult to keep all of them in stock all the time. Before adopting Oracle, our problems were really being able to promise accurate dates to our customers. It just was a tough ordeal because customer experience never had accurate information that they can always rely upon. But with global order promising, we're able to spin up our orders, run through the processes, and within a reasonable time come back and have dates that we can give our customers that are proven to be reliable. The instant results that we received and the comfortability that our dates are accurate, that's a comfort to us that we haven't had. One thing that we're really proud of right out the gate of our implementation is we've already seen an 81.5% increase in our on-time shipments. The integration gives us tools that we never had before, and without the tools and without the progress that we've already seen, we would never have that opportunity to go forward. Having the name Oracle behind the product definitely gave us confidence to go into a product that we knew we could trust in.
So, the cost of not changing and the cost of not transforming is getting higher and higher every day. And we use the old adage that those who don't remember the past are doomed to relive it. Well, speaking of that, only 60 companies that were in the Fortune 500 65 years ago are still there at this point in time. 50 years ago, the life expectancy of a Fortune 500 company was 50 years. Now, the life expectancy of a Fortune 500 company is 12 years and diminishing. And the fact is that the reasons why and why it's so rapidly accelerating is that as technology change happens, so must business change. And as business change, supply chain is the most impacted by that. Supply chains deliver the products for the business model that you're running. And you change those business models, supply chains need to react immediately to that. Now that said, I think everyone would agree that technology has, in the last 10 to 20 years, has probably changed more than it has in the history of man. So the fact is that technology is driving these changes and continues to accelerate. It's imperative that you keep changing your business model and keep moving. And that basically you have to get into a mindset that you continually innovate, or you will be one of the ones who fall by the wayside. Again, another customer video. Broadcom, who has taken advantage of our cloud capabilities. They saw the need for a digital transformation, so via acquisition, they decided to change their business models into more of a product as a service business. And through acquisition, they are accomplishing that, but at the same time, building an infrastructure and a platform then that will scale for future acquisitions and future evolution and innovation. So can we play this video, please?
Broadcom designs, manufactures, and delivers products for the wireless and wired communication sector, covering stuff you see in smartphones to data centers. Before Broadcom acquired Rocket Communications, Broadcom was largely a company that designs and manufactures semiconductor components. This is a business the CEO intends to grow, so it needs to scale. Obviously, a manual way of handling this is not going to work. Rocket has a line of business that Broadcom didn't have in a big way, and that's talking about services. Services requires a different way of recognizing revenue on the books. We chose Oracle Revenue Management Cloud because we needed to be compliant, scale, and we needed a system to be cost-effective in the long run. After the Rocket acquisition, we acquired Computer Associates, which is largely 100% on software and services. So because of that, had we not implemented Oracle Revenue Management Cloud, then we wouldn't have the capability there to be able to support it. But when you come to dealing with a piece of equipment, you are looking at equipment with 400 over different components that goes into it, 6 sub-assembly levels. With a product like this, you are going to need a way to manage changes for its entire life cycle. We implemented the Product Life Cycle Management Cloud. So far, it has met all the objectives that we wanted to meet on the implementation. Engineers need this kind of information in order to know when they make a change, what's the impact across the breadth of the products that they have. PLM system that we need to accommodate more for R&D engineers. But yet you want a system to enable the R&D to be able to do the job efficiently. The PLM process is much better. I have a solution that can handle products of complexities from high volume semiconductor chips to complex devices. With the Oracle solution in place, we are positioned to scale successfully for all the future acquisitions.
So, going back as I close up this first segment, back to that 70% number of your budgets, back to that boat anchor that you have. How can you really benefit by getting rid of this technical debt? And I think it is reshaping, reorganizing, refocusing. One, going after best practices that are built into our software as far as 21st century business practices, and adopting those best in breed practices, if you will, and get rid of the high cost customizations that you have done to on-prem software. Secondly is really refocusing. No longer have to support hardware, no longer maintain the software. We do that for you. And refocusing the IT organization itself on continuous innovation. And I see many, many companies that we work with as they go through this evolution, making significant change to the IT organization, much more business analyst oriented, much more change agent oriented, directly into each of the business units, and driving innovation and driving change throughout the organization rather than just maintaining that boat anchor. And similar to the Broadcom situation, being able to really unify and align the entire organization, the entire enterprise around that common goal, that new set of business models, and a willingness to continue to evolve to new business models as you will need to continue to innovate to remain relevant. Wanted to give an example of what I think is one of the best examples of shedding that boat anchor. And that's Western Digital, a company here in the Bay Area. For those of you unaware, Western Digital, a couple of years ago, acquired HGST and SanDisk, making it now the largest disk drive manufacturer in the world, both selling to enterprises as well as direct-to-consumer, thumb drives and the like. This was a situation of three companies of equal size, now merging together to be a $20 billion company. They chose to shed all of the debt associated with, once these acquisitions were complete, they had 6 or 7 ERP systems, e-business suite, SAP, plus others. They knew that if they went after the approach of taking one of the sets of systems and one of the set of business processes from one of the companies, that they would have to transform 2/3 of the company. And in fact, would not set themselves towards the future. To their credit, they saw the need for a digital transformation, for an entire business transformation for the new Western Digital. So they decided to transform 3/3 of the company. And so they are on a journey that will end in late 2020, where they will have migrated all of their business processes, created new business processes on a single instance of the Oracle Cloud, and will be able to jettison all of the ERP systems that they currently are running. So a tremendous case of huge amount of dollars being able to be shifted by bringing things to the cloud and shifting that money towards the consistent and constant innovation that they will have going forward with the company. So with that, I now would like to transition and ask for Adam and Jeff from Deloitte, as well as Brandon Weber from Titan to come up on stage and tell some more about some of their great customers. Brandon?
Thanks, Rick. All right, good afternoon. I'm Adam Musamelli. I'm responsible for Deloitte supply chain practice. Thanks for having us. The world's changing rapidly, no surprise to any of us, and I'm reminded of that actually every Friday as one of my sons, who happens to be 17, no driver's license, no ambition to get a driver's license, happily jumps into a stranger's cars with his friends, waves goodbye, and goes off to whatever they're gonna do, hopefully safe Friday night, and moves on, openly flouting the rule that I think many of us grew up with, never get in a stranger's car. And we see that all the time in the ways we work. I like to call it boundaries are blurring. When I can go online and order a car to the component, design it to the specifications I want, have it delivered in the manner of I want, who's the producer and who's the consumer in that situation? If I can outsource in the supply chain virtually any part of it and gain the economies of scale or scope that come along with it, what's the difference between a large organization and a small organization? And in today's world, who makes a better decision at any point in time? A human or a machine or some hybrid of both? Perhaps the biggest boundary that's blurring is that digital and physical world, where today, off a shop floor, I can take high frequency data, create a precise and accurate digital twin that can turn that data into information and insight where I can change the way operators work at any point in time, driving business value. What I'd like to do over about the next 15 minutes or so is just share how we see these boundaries blurring, changing supply chains, and then a couple of case studies or vignettes, the term use case is popular today, of what we're doing with clients in that space. If we look at the supply chain, I grew up with what you see on the left, a linear supply chain consisting of multiple different nodes where, as an operator, yes, we always thought about upstream and downstream impacts, but really what we did was thought about optimizing within our own node. And when I first walked into a factory in my early 20s, one of my mentors said to me, listen, kid, as long as you plan the work and then work the plan, anybody from supply chain will recognize that, things will be just fine here. But today, when we can see at any point in time, because of those blurring boundaries, what's happening on a shop floor, or in some sort of logistics transformation mode, or across the entire supply chain, and through a derived alert, recognize a constraint, and then resolve it by redirecting some material flow around it. Where does planning end and execution begins? Those nodes are collapsing upon each other, and when they do, we think you wind up in what you see over on the left. We call that a digital supply network, where you can see end to end, so you have visibility across the entire thing. You can proactively manage your material flow and services across that digital supply network. You can connect into your suppliers' digital supply networks and into your customers' DSNs as well. And importantly, you can decide at any moment or any point in time who the best resource is to do some form of work. Could be a machine, could be a person, could be a combination of the two. And because of that, you can make now network optimized decisions versus just node optimized decisions in the old world. An important component of that, and as you can see in the middle of the DSN, is this notion that we call the digital core. Consists of 6 different components that I think everybody in this room would recognize. And the important point to this is a lot of times when I get in supply chain discussions with other operators, we talk about data and the importance of data. And data is important, but it's not just about the data. It's about your ability to collect it, integrate it, analyze it, and then through that, consume it in a user experience that allows a change to happen. When a change happens, you could do things like this. So here's an example of applying some of what you've heard so far today in the context of suppliers, procurement, inbound logistics, and shop floor. The general challenge this particular client had is they bought about $500 million in a given year of resin, commodity product, right? Generally, the way they thought about it is they weren't going to do any better than the market. It's a commodity. So the name of the game was, let's just bring in the resin so we have enough to make our finished good product. If you look at the two pictures with the blue shading in the middle of the page there, it will tell the story of what happened. They had something like 800,000 variables to think through in order to most optimally buy the resin and 3 million constraints. That's too hard for a human to figure out. So what do? We simplify. And if you look at the left-hand side of the page, you'll see there seems to be a pattern. The blue boxes represent that resin was actually bought and delivered on a given day. The intensity of the blue boxes will tell you how much, and the red lines just represent weak mark-offs. And if you look at the left-hand side, you can see more or less a pattern, because what the procurement people were doing as they thought through that supplier through factory supply chain was they were bringing in even amounts. If you look at the right-hand side, when you put together components of the technologies we've been talking about and created some machine-driven insight, you'll notice a much deeper, intense blue bar on the right-hand side of that chart. And that's because ultimately the AI said the most likely scenario, after having run about 1,000 different scenarios, is prices are going to go up over the next couple months. And what we're going to do because of that is we're going to drain storage over the course of this month, and then we're going to buy a whole lot at the end of the month. When you can start to make decisions like that through the use of technology, you can generate some of the results you see below. Here's an example that takes into account inbound logistics, DC or warehouse operations, outbound logistics, and in this case, stores. Similar challenge. Organization has thousands of stores, hundreds of distribution points, multiple different modes and ways to get out to those distribution points. And in any given day, of course, out of a store, goods are bought. Into a DC or a warehouse, goods come. And somebody is trying on any given day to balance up supply and demand and then figure out, how do we get the goods out to the store? Well, again, too many variables for a human to solve. So the way that problem has been solved in the past is what I would call static routing. Each week, on the same day, a truckload of stuff leaves some particular DC and brings it to the store based on what's forecasted to be sold, whether or not that particular store actually needs those goods. But what if, on every day, we could look at the entire network and understand exactly what's in store, exactly what's in DC, understand what equipment we had to deliver to those stores, and run through a series of algorithms to say, here today is the best exact way to replenish those stores. I would call that dynamic routing. And that's exactly what was set up using multiple technology components here. And you can see the impact both on logistics costs and asset utilization, which is basically maximizing out the trailers. And just an interesting anecdote here, the system is able to pick up things as precise as, you know what, if we load up the truck this way, it's 24 pallets, which is almost a full trailer. But if we do it this way, just with better math, it's 26. Vision analytics, or computer vision, as I like to call it. So most of the data in the world is unstructured, right? What do you do with that and how do you use it? And as an operator, you go into any manufacturing facility in the world, people that have been in there will be able to say things like, that piece of equipment doesn't sound right, or that across the way there on the shop floor doesn't look right. What we're trying to do is replicate those senses, but in an augmented fashion with technology, so you can create, for somebody like me that grew up in the 1970s, bionic men and women that can do their jobs better. In this particular case, the client they were capacity constrained and they had problems getting to desired output levels with their machines. But they didn't know why. They weren't having catastrophic failures. They didn't have maintenance people out there for a week breaking down equipment. They just weren't quite getting there, and they had this notion that they were getting a lot of micro stops. 30-second problems in production, 2-minute problems in production, maybe 10-minute problems in production, the type of thing that often isn't logged and recorded, and therefore you can't do root cause analysis around it and solve it. The answer was, let's put a camera on it, and using homography and other techniques, let's understand when the machines are working and when they're not, what they're producing. From that unstructured data, create a structured data event log that can then be sent into the cloud and can be analyzed, which is exactly what happened in this particular place. And when we did that, you can see the results. I should also say, particularly on the shop floor, a lot of us have old controls equipment that may not be networked, may not be able to be networked. So using some unstructured data solve like this and combining it with cloud technology is a simple and effective way of getting after those microstops. And then lastly, let's walk into the fun world of engineering and design and manufacturing and procurement, but center of the plate engineering. Here we have the classic problem of too many parts, and because there's too many parts, if you're building something, engineers kind of don't want to deal with that, and they just reinvent the wheel and build something kind of like they had last year, but new from the ground up. This particular client had 7 different systems, 18 different commodities they were looking at, spending about $500 million over the course of a year, and importantly, over 200,000 unique items. And they desperately wanted to be able to leverage that procurement power that all of that money represents with their suppliers, but they couldn't because they were fragmented. And they wanted their engineers to be able to reuse those components versus always buying a new one, right? So they could speed up their design cycles. Too hard for a human to solve that. The answer was, let's be able to digitize some analog drawings that we have using a series of technologies, and then let's put clustering algorithms on top of that so that now we can understand and identify like parts as well as near-like parts, similar form, fit, and function, so that we could dramatically reduce the number of parts we have out there, increase the reusability, and get some of those direct material cost savings that you see there. I think what we'll wrap up with here is, we've been talking about boundaries blurring. I think the biggest one that is blurring right now is really on us here in this room, and that is classically, as I started my career, it was IT working with supply chain side by side, but a divide, that's coming together. And when we want to generate results like this, it really is incumbent upon us to recognize that blurring boundary and do this together. And with that, I think we'll roll the next video.
In this facility, we manufacture the wheels for agriculture, earth mover, construction, equipment, anything off the road. And customers are expecting a lot more out of us than they ever have with cost improvements, system improvements, quality improvements.
Our biggest issue was inventory availability into our SaaS service. Parts were coming off the line at a very rapid pace, and we could not get them reported into the system in a timely manner. It may be an hour or 2 hours by the time somebody could manually put those in, which prevented our shipping processes from being done in an efficient manner. The most important criteria we had when making an IoT solution selection was that we wanted a package that was going to grow with us. And we wanted something that was maintainable and upgradable, not something that was going to be custom application.
Immediate benefits that we've seen from implementing IoT include timeliness and accuracy of the inventory.
We chose Oracle because we have multiple systems across our enterprise, so we had perfect visibility to what was going on within our businesses. And when we looked at what we wanted to do, Oracle was making a huge investment into cloud technology, and it seemed like the best solution for us. We selected Deloitte as our implementation partner. Over time, they've become part of our team.
With the new ERP and SCM installation, we have seen a faster response for getting data for our own analyzation, more real-time data for shop floor transactions, digital workflows. We are able to have those now.
Our inventory is more accurate and more available in a more timely manner, so we can better support our customers going forward. We're going to take this now and move it to our other paint lines within our facility, and this works as a perfect baseline to get that ready to go and to move that into our North American tire facilities.
Hi, I'm Jeff Croxon. I'm with Deloitte. I lead our supply chain cloud practice, and I was actually part of the team that delivered the Titan project, so we're very excited about this video. I'm going to go ahead and kind of introduce the Titan case study, and then I'm going to turn it over to Brandon from Titan to actually go a little bit deeper. What I always like to tell people is that Titan is really a great example of someone who's embracing the digital supply chain journey. About 2 years ago, Titan decided to go all in with the Oracle ERP and SCM and EPM cloud. And then they went live in November of last year. And what Titan has done is then taken that core ERP, SCM cloud foundation and really used it as a springboard to take advantage of digital disruptors, such as RPA and IoT, as we just saw in the case study there, which is really the way we describe the journey, recommendations for each of our manufacturing clients. And so we're in the process now that we've got the ERP foundation up, deploying IoT as well as RPA to help out with some of the regression testing. And then Titan has additional aspirations to deploy that solution globally and then further take advantage of the additional digital disruptors available in the Oracle Cloud. So that's a little bit of a high-level review, and I'm going to turn it over to Brandon to kind of go deeper into the Titan story.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. So you're 3 or 4 days away from the plant. You kind of miss it, so it's nice to see the video kind of where home is. So that was kind of nice. But thank you very much, Jeff. It's been a great 2 years, but it's come with blood, sweat, and tears. Titan, about a 30-year-old company, started at Quincy, Illinois at the wheel facility, has grown into a $2 billion international wheel, tire, assembly, and undercarriage company. And that was done with blood, sweat, and tears. Now we're just adding a little bit of the cloud in there too. So we're really excited about it. It's been a great 2 years, and especially the last 10 months has been rather exciting from the supply chain instance. So I want to go over this real quick. We call it Project Mosaic. We have a nice mosaic picture, and it has one little piece of the mosaic that's missing. Of course, that represents everybody that's going to be touching the project and bringing everything together. And so we call it Project Mosaic. You may see it out there in some of our presentations, some of our t-shirts, some different things. But what I want to talk about here is the reasons why, and I want to dive into that left column, okay? The stuff on the right, it has a lot of the fancy words. I'm a Midwest manufacturing guy. I started with GE, I went to private equity, and I've been with Titan for about 4 years. So for me, it's very simplistic. It's a supply chain. You buy it, you ship it. So that's why I'm going to go through the left side. Feel free to read the right side, and I'll touch on those, but we're going to go into the next 2 slides that'll explain it further. So the reason we picked Oracle Cloud, and we interviewed a lot, and we were on the phone calls a lot, and we went to different customer sites and other software sites a lot to finally land at Oracle Cloud. But we had to create a reason why we're doing it. We're just not going to go spend this money and this time to say, hey, we did it. What are we going to get? So in the industrial world, you have to make leaps, especially being an OE supported supply chain. We have to work with the John Deeres, the Case, the Kubotas, the big guys. And if we don't have a structure and infrastructure that supports that, eventually someone else is going to do it. So we had to look at where we were and not look at tomorrow, but we had to look way down the road. So we created these business drivers down here. You read through these and you start reflecting, as I was getting these slides from Jeff earlier in the week, reading through there and saying, how are they running the business? If they don't have financial visibility, if they don't have data for decision making, I want to say a caveat here. We had that stuff, but it was the blood, sweat, and tears to make every single one of those happen, okay? So financial visibility across the legal entities. Being a global company, how do you roll 10, 15 ERPs up every month, every year? With a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. That's all there is to it. Data for decision making took a long time. Adam talked about going to IT. I know I've called IT and Stacy, who was in the video, many times. Hey, I need this data. Hey, I need this data. When can you get me that data? I don't have to call him anymore. I don't know if he doesn't want to talk to me anymore, but he doesn't. Independent and non-standard systems across the site. I talked about the different ERP systems. They were all over the place. Master data structure. We had master data. We had item masters. We had supplier masters. We had customer masters. And those were pretty tightly controlled. But as those in the supply chain that have dealt with the vendor master, when you're trying to do things like city, state, zip code, and then trying to figure out how you take an international format of an address and put it in a US-based system, it's very difficult to create governance. You know, capitalization versus no capitalization. These are little things, but they make your data very, very difficult. Okay, so we had the data before, it's just cleaner now. Barcode scanners, we didn't have any. With our implementation, we added over 400 mobile devices to our 80-acre campus in Quincy. Manual supply and demand planning, same thing, okay? It's replenishment, right? It's Kanban, okay? It's MRP, lead time, safety stock, et cetera. But it was all done with planners in their head with tribal knowledge. You walk in an organization, hey, how much of this do you have? I don't know, let me check the system. That was a constant discussion all the time. Now, all I do is look at the data and the KPIs and say, hey, why is this high, why is this low? And I think they kind of get irritated that I can see it now, but it gives us a better result from a business standpoint. The site-based finance operations, of course, if and when, I guess more when we have global Oracle Cloud, you're talking about centralization of payables and receivables. Do you need AR and AP in every single location? Okay, all of the blood, sweat, and tears switches because it's automated. Inventory visibility, this is my favorite one. People talk about inventory reductions, it always gets my attention. But when you look at the inventory, you can see it now. Most people can say, send me an on-hand report by cost, multiplied by quantity, sum it up in Excel. The problem is we couldn't say, where's it gonna be at the end of the month, the end of the quarter, the end of the year? Because you have in and outs. You have demand on customer orders, you have POs coming in. It was always up and down. So it would take about 3 days to run it, 3 individual reports, cross-reference them, and then by then that data's outdated. Right this moment, from my cell phone, I can go in, click on the supply plan, and look where we're gonna be at the end of this month for our raw material inventory. Big deal, especially when you get phone calls from your boss. Plant maintenance visibility, poor sales, order tracking capability, and the rework warranty. All those are the things that are on our vision that made our business drivers. We've done some of that, but we're not through all that yet. We can see the customer orders, and it used to be the old call shipping. I see head nods, because that's how it works. Where's this order? Call the supervisor, call shipping, okay? It's in the cloud now, we can see it. So I wanted to spend most of my time on those business drivers because we have truly executed in the last 2 years to go from there. If I jump over the objectives, I'm sure you guys read through them. Those are all the things I kind of touched on. So let's take the before and after that I just explained kind of holistically of the whole thing, and let's look at one solution overview that we put in. The text is kind of small, so I'll go by color, it's easier. So the first two green with the Oracle SCM Cloud you can see on there. Work orders being created in the cloud, load sheets being created so they can make the product in the shop. We have with IoT, we have a middleware, if you would, that's referred to on there as Ignition. So we still have some integrated Excel uploads. They're touchless, but they're still Excel uploads to load those up. 4, 5, and 6, you can see have an asterisk. It's phase 2 for us. So the one button, complete or reject. RF Smart, who is our mobile technology partner, printing out product labels on the fly instead of having to put them on the hook or lose them or pass them from the end of the line to the beginning of the line. And real-time production status, actually having those displays, those KPIs. And of course, the end result are the last two, which we've seen in both the videos and up here. How do the production managers see that very quickly so they know when things aren't going right and they can solve it? Okay? So all the IoT and everything that we've done, we've still got more coming. And I think that's probably the most exciting part about this transformation for Titan, is it's not, hey, let's fix it, let's put it in place, and now we're done. Okay, it's truly a continuous improvement. Last one here is the connected factory. It's taking it on to that next level. Same color coding, you got sensors, you have data, you have preventative maintenance prediction to do the same thing. So our machines stay up, so the previous slide that I talked about can happen faster. So I'll wrap up and I'll turn it back over, but all I want to say is with Oracle Cloud, with Deloitte, RF Smart, we did Kronos, we did the Ignition. We've got a lot of partners in here, and I'm very excited being a Midwestern manufacturing kid to actually transform this company with the help of all the Titan team that's here and everybody I mentioned, to move it from 30 years old, blood, sweat, and tears, running it on a green screen, to basically open endless possibilities now with the cloud. So I think I turn it over to Rick. Thank you.
Great stuff, thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Great stories, thank you. And thank you, Brandon. That was great. Okay, let's keep talking about, why is it time for the supply chain cloud? I hope Brandon's comments was one reason for it. But some of the things we're working on, and get you up to speed with what we've done lately and what we're looking to do in the future. First, just from an adoption perspective, and what we're seeing from customers adopting and our partners, helping customers take on the products and the like. Some of what we're doing from a functional and an industry perspective, and then what we're doing from our perspective of continuous innovation for you, our customers. So, talking relative to the adoption, much broader adoptions, much faster, and certainly much more predictable now with the work that has been done by our great SIs. So, first, we're at 2,700 supply chain cloud customers and counting, of which over 1,000 are live on some component of the supply chain cloud. We have over 10,000 consultants certified and trained in the supply chain cloud applications. So ready to help you implement the software from a number of our great SIs. It's reached an increased plateau of maturity relative to implementation paths and quick start templates, ways to implement the products in a very rapid fashion by just leveraging the core 21st century practices and implement them in a very rapid value add sort of a capability. And then Oracle and Deloitte and other SIs have all developed tools and methodologies that will allow it to become much more predictable and basically to have a low-cost implementation and a very low-risk implementation. So again, from when we talked a year ago at this time or at Modern Business Experience, we've reached another plateau as far as level of adoption, ease of adoption. And part of this is the beauty of the modularity of these applications. And those of you who have heard me up here before, you'll hear me talk about web services and REST APIs and our philosophy for building those first, even before we build the UI itself. And that philosophy is paying off. It allows these products to be integrated with other products that you may have, but it also allows you to select your path as to how you want to move to the cloud. There is not one and only one approach to doing such. You can take any product in any fashion, and the important element there is find the value and use those products initially and not wait until a long time at the end when you finally achieve value and benefits from the system. So some of those paths that we have seen, taking specific areas like planning, like transportation, like our great WMS cloud product, PLM, any area, and do that initially. Now, we at Oracle obviously believe that the end goal is a complete transformation. And by getting all of your operations, all of your functions to the cloud is where we believe you will gain the biggest benefit. But by going through this approach, you can make for quick wins, quick value as you step through the processes. But getting to that end enterprise transformation. We've also seen models that are supported by our SI partners of going after a division first. Use that division as a model and a template for how then to address the rest of the enterprise. So make the decisions in that division, not only for the right things for the division, but then what is your overall global chart of accounts going to look like? What is your logistics network going to look like? What is the overall architecture going to look like? And leverage that and do that, gaining value by bringing up a division, but then setting yourself up to get to the full enterprise transformation. Then we even see customers, and again, there are models to support it, who start off with an edge, if you will, approach, then move to a divisional approach, and then move to the enterprise transformation. And then there's certainly what some customers have done, like Titan, like Western Digital, as I mentioned, like Oracle ourselves, where we've just gone directly into a full enterprise transformation and transformed our entire business. The key point here again, and what is unique with these cloud applications compared to competition, is short cycle projects, value gained in every single one of those projects and every step along the journey, rather than the end of the road death march. I mean, there are no more multi-year death marches, although I would argue SAP hasn't quite figured that out yet. But we do not believe that the multi-year death march is the way to implement systems and supply chain systems, and it is working for our customers. Talking about some of the functional and in the industry enrichment and new functionality that we have added and will continue to add. First being processed and mixed mode manufacturing. In 19B, we released fixed formula manufacturing, support for co-products, byproducts, things like that. And we've done it in a model of inside the same organization to enable true mixed mode manufacturing. So the ability to blend and mix certain products while you can also assemble and package those products, both process functions as well as discrete functions, all operating on the same data model, the same UI, the same structure, thus that you can do that in a common organization. You can leverage all the intelligence and the machine learning that we've already built and provided. You can leverage the quality, the closed loop quality capabilities that we have for issue to resolution. And then by leveraging the planning capabilities, which we have targeted for 19D, 20A timeframe in our planning applications for constraint-based planning, to be able to work around material and resource constraints, and then to provide flexible sourcing and flexible manufacturing approaches, whether you manufacture it or you let someone else manufacture your products. And we are continuing on this journey to provide more mixed mode, more process functionality, as well as from a mixed mode project capabilities. Project capabilities, I think what is interesting to me, having been in the supply chain business for quite a while, projects are no longer just for A&D anymore. Every customer seems to have some part of their business that they want controlled by projects. And I think it is the collaborative nature. It's bringing products as a service to market. It's the servitization of things, that you are now creating contractual relationships and contractual obligations with your customers. And people want to control those by project and know the actual costs associated with it, have consistent approaches with each customer, and be able to live up to the obligations that are now part of today's contracts. So with this new capability, and the execution pieces coming in 20A and planning shortly thereafter, but full business flow support for projects, be able to create and manage the initial project As I say, be able to plan by project using project-specific resources and materials as well as pooled supplies. Everything is striped for your project work. So project and task striping on all entities, on all transactions throughout the process, maintaining project integrity within your enterprise. And then bringing that all back into our cost model and back into our project's capability to know actual costs, actual transactions, actual activity, and then in turn be able to provide progress billings if that's appropriate, or project-related billings back to your customer. So some exciting new functionality that I anticipate everyone using in some way, shape, or form, available very, very soon. Another area that is becoming the norm in this time is channel revenue management, the ability to support and control customer rebating, customer promotions, discounts, and the like. Again, coming from this new coordination, this new collaboration, and contractual obligations that are more and more in the 21st century between you and your suppliers, you and your customers, and the like. We are developing this in concert with one of our great distribution customers, and working initially around supplier ship and debit. So the ability to create the initial agreement, track the accruals that come in via the orders, submit claims back to those suppliers, and then the offsetting debit memo in the system. As I say, imminently available is supplier ship and debit support, but then the plan is to extend that out, continue to build it out to support both the buy side as well as the sell side. And then I've mentioned planning quite a bit. And our planning cloud products have advanced significantly since we talked last. And these first three areas all coming in the next couple of releases, 19D and 20A. So first, constrained planning. I already mentioned this associated with process. So the ability to work around constrained resources, constrained material in accomplishing your plans, capacity constraints. Replenishment planning, be able to set the policies and then automate the actual replenishment activities. Backlog management, defining the order schedules in the situation where you need to deliver products to multiple different customers and living up to the commitments, contractual or otherwise, and obligations that you've made to your customers, but having full visibility into your order backlog and being able to plan accordingly so that you can keep every customer that you have satisfied. And then lastly, production scheduling. As I indicated, constrained, replenishment, and backlog management coming in the next couple of releases, production scheduling coming later on in 2020. But what's exciting for us there, that will be built in the Redwood UX paradigm. So, talking about planning, let's look at another customer, Lee Destry, who is leveraging our supply chain planning cloud to provide benefits to themselves, as well as some of they are an outsourced manufacturer for a number of other companies, and so the benefits that they are seeing. So please, play this video.
Being a food producer, we have to provide traceability from where that ingredient came in from the field, to when it came into our plant, to what jar we put it in. Ledestri is a manufacturer of food, beverage, and spirits. We bring in all their ingredients, we cook the pasta sauce, we fill it into containers, really soup to nuts. At Ledestri, our supply chain is actually very complex. It really is the lifeblood of being a profitable company. We start out with a lot of fresh ingredients. A lot of them have a short shelf life, a matter of days sometimes. So it's got to be an exact, just-in-time process to produce the materials we need with as little waste as possible. Using Oracle, we're able to trace all our ingredients right to end product. With Oracle Demand Management Cloud, we've been able to reduce our inventory through increased visibility and better forecast accuracy. But even a bigger deal is really sustainability. We hate to throw good products away, and by having accurate forecasts, we've been able to reduce disposals by more than 50%, saving millions of dollars a year. One of the things I'm most proud of is really our track record with never having a recall. The majority of our production is for other people's brands, so there's a trust that we have to build with that customer. They are giving us their livelihood, and they trust us to produce products that are worthy of their brands. We've built a trust with our end consumers and with our customer base. It's a family business. It's been run like a family for more than 40 years. Oracle is one of the larger Ledestri family.
Okay, so talked a little bit about the functional and industry work that we're doing. Now let's talk about some of the other innovation that we're doing. First, and something that we announced this week at OpenWorld, is the availability of the Oracle Business Network. So again, something that will be available for every single one of our customers, a central hub to enable B2B messaging and business-to-business transaction between you and your suppliers. We already have over 10,000 suppliers loaded into the Oracle Business Network, both doing indirect as well as direct procurement capabilities. And uniquely, unlike our competition, we have no interest in monetizing this. There is no charge to use the B2B hub and to use Business Network. And basically, easy, one-click connection, easy onboarding of suppliers. We have suppliers now lining up to onboard themselves, as well as our customers being able to onboard, if they aren't there already, the suppliers that you have. But then one-click connectivity, fast and easy, immediately be able to do business transactions. And if you already are using a third-party network, and as we know, there are many industry-focused networks, leverage the Oracle Business Network and our integration to some of these third-party networks to be able to do business in that fashion. So available now is everything that I just talked about. So focus right now is around procure to pay, but expansion of the number of transaction sets that we will support and bring it to a number of other processes, including the sell side of things. So a very exciting announcement, a lot of work that we've done to bring this to bear, and something that, again, for free, you all can leverage by simply becoming a customer in our cloud. IoT. We continue to advance in this area. We have uniquely built applications for IoT. No one else in the world or anywhere on this planet has built out-of-the-box, fit-for-purpose IoT applications. Everyone has a IoT platform, as do we, but we did not stop there. We build applications. We build business solutions. So we have 5 fit-for-purpose IoT applications pre-integrated with the supply chain cloud, out of the box, immediately adding value in asset monitoring, production monitoring, fleet, or geofencing, a third-party fleet if you do not operate your own, as most don't, worker from a worker safety perspective, and then aftermarket service monitoring. Out of the box, fit for purpose, immediately available, integrated, to immediately begin to spot trends, to define and detect anomalies, to then make recommendations in the form of events back into the supply chain cloud, or creating a maintenance work order if a given asset or machine is about to have problems based on the anomaly detection, but then eventually not only just preventative, but predictive maintenance capabilities, leveraging our machine learning algorithms. Some of the areas that we have and are continuing to expand in, available soon in the planning space, is segmentation, customer segmentation, supply chain segmentation recommendations, based on activities, based on external data, based on historical data, as well as defining AI-based forecasts for new product introductions. something already available in supply chain cloud and manufacturing, detecting anomalies from the production and quality perspective, identify work orders based on other activities going on, the given asset of it, quality of previous runs down a given production line, identify work orders at risk. Also already available and currently being leveraged by companies like Titan and others is the maintenance and service logistics. So as I say, predictive, preventative maintenance, automatically generating a maintenance work order for a given piece of equipment to be reviewed and potentially resolve the issue. And then in transportation, we've already provided ETA, an estimated time of arrival based on AI techniques and predicting that, but looking to extend that into enriching and refining the actual lead times that you maintain in the system. And with our IoT team working with our warehouse management cloud team, getting to automated dock scheduling capabilities, leveraging fleet monitoring as the vehicle to do that, to automatically have the warehouse set up and available when the truck, literally the minute that it arrives. So a lot of things continuing to happen around ML in this space. IoT is very closely tied with our blockchain capabilities in that we build applications. So it seems like every high-tech company in the world has a blockchain platform. We did not stop there. We built a fit-for-purpose track and trace blockchain application. I know of 5 or 6. We announced this product April, I believe. And I know of at least 5 or 6 proof of concepts that are going on now from a variety of customers. I have learned of 4 more proof of concepts in the last 2 days that are going on with our blockchain track and trace applications. So we think there's, obviously people are interested, people are trying to explore, and we will see what value it can provide. But just along those lines, let's play this video, please.
This is Steve. Steve made this beer, and this week he made it 460,800 times. These are Steve's 4 main ingredients. They come from 8 different sources and went into 4 different machines. They were monitored for temperature and pressure. When the beer was ready, he put it on a truck. Actually, 5 trucks. Each took a different route. Some did 5-day trips, others took single multi-day runs. 16 routes in all. At the end of their routes, they delivered Steve's beer to 16 different wholesalers. Then the wholesalers sent Steve's beer to retailers. 1,723 stores in all. At the stores, they were bought by customers. 71,654 customers. And 71,582 of them liked it. But some didn't. Exactly 62 didn't. And figuring out why is Steve's job. The problem is, while the journey of any single beer is simple, the journey of many is complex. Really complex. And figuring out what went wrong, and where, and how is hard. Unless you're using Oracle's purpose-built track and trace app for supply chains. Oracle Intelligent Track and Trace takes the complexity out of supply chain logistics, using blockchain technology to track the movement of every ingredient, every step in the brewing process, every location, every route, and every handoff. With alerts and other data from connected IoT devices at every stage of every beer's journey, from the fields to the store. Which is how Steve figured out where the problem was, what it was, and fixed it. So now he can really get down to business.
1, 2, 3, 4!
So blockchain, very exciting space, and I think we're learning with you as to what the applications can be around this and just where blockchain goes, but it's very exciting. And then one last area before we get on to some of the demo that I spoke of earlier. So the Oracle Analytics for applications. Our vision for this is to have a hierarchy of the key supply chain metrics with cost to serve and the perfect order and things like that being at the very top of the hierarchy, but then the ability to drill down into domain-specific dashboards and provide more analytics, more KPIs within the domain-specific areas, as you can see them across the bottom, as we have planned them out. But this is an initiative across the board. We certainly understand that once we have pre-populated this with information relative to our Oracle Cloud applications, we will be expanding that with unstructured data and things coming from IoT, as well as third-party feeds into that. But again, a data warehouse for you to be able to leverage in the cloud. It would, again, be pre-delivered, connected to your instance, ready and available for you to be able to be migrating data into the new data warehouse available from Oracle. And initially around the supply chain space, we are starting with procurement spend areas, order management, fulfillment, things like that. But we will rapidly move through the remainder of the functional areas. So with that, I'd like to take our next break here and have Jennifer and Diego talk about recall management. And I guess real quick before they come up, I just want to say that this is the use case here, and the example is a healthcare provider recall management use case. I realize that not everyone in the audience comes from healthcare provider, come from other industries and the like, but I would ask that you just watch this demo from the perspective of the concepts, the capabilities, the paradigms that Jennifer and Diego will present. And just imagine how this new UX can operate within your business processes and your business flows at your company. So with that, I'd like to introduce Jennifer and Diego. There you go.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. That was a great introduction. Hello, everybody. I'm Jennifer Darmore. I'm heading up design for SCM, and on stage with me is my colleague, Diego Pantoja Navajas. Did I get that right?
You did it great.
I practiced for the last hour to get that right.
So we had a plan. If she could not remember that, she was going to introduce me just by Diego, and I was going to finish the sentence. So she did it awesome.
So what I wanted to share with you today is a demo. Before I get to that, I wanted to give you a quick introduction to Redwood. And I think at this point of the conference, it's more of a recap of Redwood. We are, as you can see as you're walking through the conference today, we are having a design moment with a completely new look and feel. We are in the midst of creating an entirely new design language and applying that across all of our cloud-based products. And in doing so, this gives us the opportunity to reimagine our user experience as we continually aim to improve and bring best-in-class products to you. So that's what we've done today. So why recalls? What I plan to show you, and as Rick mentioned today, is in the healthcare space. And I know that most of you are not in the healthcare industry, but we decided to start there because we thought that it's a great opportunity for us to identify unique use cases to help us drive innovation and ultimately bring back to you and all of your industries. So with this in mind, our healthcare customers have told us that exception management is one of their biggest pain points. Exceptions such as how do you resolve for a partially filled order or a back order or inventory that's expired. And within exceptions, recalls was one of the biggest problems. So that's where we started. That's enough context, let's get going. So we're at a hospital, let's call it Supremo Healthcare for now. A supplier has recently sent in a recall notification. Now that can come in many ways through digital form, through good old paper, snail mail, a document that's manually inputted, or integration with notification systems such as Rasmus that's used in the healthcare industry. So once that is inputted into the system, then we go to work. In this case, there's an inventory manager who receives a notification from Oracle. Here he's receiving it. He's going about his day. He's using on his mobile phone. We push a notification to him. He sees that there's a notification, and we take him right into a text message where we can show him that there's a recall, it's class 2, that gives him the opportunity to decide if he wants to take care of that right away. In this case, he wants to see more information about that. So he clicks into see more information, and we take him right into a conversational UI. And from here, we start to assist him in how to resolve this problem. From here, he can see a brief summary of the recall, including locations that are affected and the total quantity that he needs to go and find and pull. In this case, it's 76 boxes. And our digital assistant starts to help him. So how can I help you with this? You can find a substitute or show affected lots. In this case, the inventory manager selects find substitutes. And so from here, we scour inventory that is on hand and have found that about half of the quantity is on hand. So we're smart enough to understand that that's not all that you need for a substitute. So we go and find a preferred supplier in contract that has an approved substitute that we know has available stock. And we ask, would you like me to add this to the order requisition? So the inventory manager says yes. Okay, I've added the item to the order requisition. Would you like me to notify the PAR counter? So in the healthcare industry, there are these things called PAR locations, which are essentially sub-inventory locations that are distributed all over the hospital floors. And there are people called PAR counters whose entire job is to go around to all of these locations and count and verify to make sure that they have all the stock. And the stock is, the rooms, the PAR locations are filled with high volume, low cost stock, such as gauze, Band-Aids, things like that. So would you like me to notify those PAR counters? In this case, yes. So the system is smart enough to understand who is on staff for the specific locations and sends a notification to each of those PAR locations as the form of tasks. And then the system says, would you like to pin this? Because it knows that it's going to take a while to resolve this, or a lot of people to collaborate. So pinning it allows you to easily go back and monitor. So in this case, he says yes. So the system creates a pin and asks, is there anything that I can help you with? So here we are. We have taken you instantly into a conversational UI, and we are already giving you the ability to analyze the situation and start taking care and work towards resolution by working with the system to smartly distribute tasks to all those affected. So let's move on to the PAR counters view.
So before I start with my part of the demo, just quick concepts that we're going to introduce, like in-building location tracking. We're going to see that in a minute as I start the demo. Also very important concepts like optical character recognition. If we go back in history, the very first UPC or barcode that was scanned was on a Wrigley company chewing gum package back in 1974. So the industry, now that we have revolutionized the barcode industry, it was an old industry, but now with these new concepts that we're introducing, we really want to write a new chapter in supply chain execution. So with that being said, let me start the demo. I'm at PAR location. I'm walking to my endoscopy area. As you can see, I have my first task, which is to start scanning the item, in this case, a package of gloves that need to be recalled. So I'm going to start my scanning. And as you guys can see, this is a live demo. All of you guys are being recorded just in case. But we're going to keep it. So really here, and this is going to go really fast, so just a couple of concepts that are really important to capture, correct? We have been able to scan barcodes and Also, if you can see most of the items that goes into the part locations that Jennifer was explaining, usually the boxes will have a barcode for the item number, but they will not have a barcode for the lot number or other information that is important to be able to scan and to be able to capture. Okay, so what we wanted to do with, and this is new in terms of how we want to be able to apply this technology, is we want to be able to capture everything that is related to this item. So the recall process can be done in a very good manner. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take the product. As you can see, it's scanning it. And what it's telling me is that this first scan that I did is for a product that needs to keep. It is not part of the recall process, so I need to keep it. But as you see, the information that the system is looking is a lot number in specific, not the item barcode. It's looking for a specific barcode because in the part location, you will have multiple of these cases with the same SKU but a different lot number. So again, I'm going to confirm that since I didn't scan another. And I'm going to grab another one and perform the same task. Okay, so this is the one that it was meant to be recalled. A verification of the scan, of the lot number SKU. This is the correct one. I put that on my cart, of course. I complete my scan, and I'm complete the scan. And it's asking me for another one because I have another one to do. And I'm done. So with that being said, the task summary is completed. I'm done. I confirm it, and now I can move to my next task to complete in my tasking that I have assigned to me as a user. So this is very exciting. We're very excited about the Redwood concepts that you have introduced, and like Rick said, this is something that we want to be able to apply across all our supply chain execution products and be able to have one single mobile experience for our users. So that's part of the demo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Diego.
Back to you, Jennifer.
All right, back to the slides, please. Thank you, Diego.
No, thank you.
So again, what we're doing is we're providing simple instructions. We've sent a notification to the par counter. We've created simple instructions to locate, to scan, to verify if the recall item is part of the lot to be pulled, and sent simple instructions on what to pull and what not to pull. And so the par counter then takes that recall items, and we provide instructions on where to return it. So back to the inventory manager. The inventory manager receives an update from us. And through text, we send a simple text message that says, here's a quick update on today's recall. All 76 items have been pulled because we've been listening for all of the par counters to complete their tasks. On-hand substitutes have been distributed, and an order requisition has been sent to Ava. In this case, this is the buyer. So let's go to Ava's view. So the buyer is also involved in helping to resolve this. The buyer's busy. When she is at her desktop version, she goes to view exceptions. And what we've done is we have ordered the exceptions and prioritized all of the exceptions in this list around the ones that need action. So she doesn't have to go hunting and digging for the ones that need her attention now. We already prioritize in this list. She can see that she received a new exception. She clicks into it, and right off the bat, we have provided a recommendation on what to do to resolve this. In this case, we have recommended an expedited shipping order so that if she places the order, we can receive the substitute in time. Now, the buyer wants to save cost. In the healthcare industry, expedited shipping starts to accrue a lot of extra cost. So she wants to see if she can order this in standard shipping and if it's okay if it arrives a little bit late. So she needs to reach out to the inventory manager. Now, today, what would happen is she would leave this experience, she would go into email, she would make a phone call, and she would reach out to the inventory manager outside of the system. And so what we've done here is we're embedding that communication method inside the experience. Right here, there's a drop down. You can see there is direct message. So we're embedding Slack, we're embedding email, we're even embedding the ability to make voice calls. In this case, the hospital uses Slack. And so right within this screen, she can send a Slack message to the inventory manager without leaving the experience. So she sends the inventory manager a message saying, the recommendation is that we expedite this shipping. I'd like to save costs. Is it okay if it's late? So Sam, as he's going about his day and very busy, he receives it through Slack. So he's not in the system right now. He sees that message in Slack. He can see a little summary to get context of what she's referring to. And in Slack, he messages her saying, no, I actually need it expedited. I need it tomorrow. Sends that off. And then she sees it, even though he sent it in Slack, she sees it within this screen. So we have the ability to communicate both inside and outside the system using the tools that people already use. And this also allows her to go back and reference any decisions that were made based on this recall. So she goes ahead and orders it. There's a confirmation. And now this exception has gone from needs action to it's being monitored. So now she can monitor the shipping status. So back to the inventory manager, there are a lot of moving parts and a lot of collaboration that needs to occur to resolve this issue. So the inventory manager's view, this is him looking at his exceptions on the desktop. He can see that the item, the recall that he's monitoring is pinned. And so we automatically put it to the top for him to easily reference it. So he goes and he wants to view and monitor this recall. And what we do here is we go into this immersive view that gives him an at-a-glance view of everything that's occurring and everything that's taking place. And in this case, we're showing him an at-a-glance view of all the locations that are affected and who has completed what task within each location. So he can see that everyone has completed the task. He can see on the left-hand side that what the system has sent, notifications the system has sent, including a purchase order was generated to replace the recall item. So from here, he can go and track this, and he can see where that order is in the shipping process from point A to point B. And not only can he see where it is in the process, but he can also scrub into the future to see where it's planned to be shipped within the hospital and who is on staff to receive it. Now, in the healthcare space, oftentimes things get sent to receiving, they get stuck, nobody's there to sign it, no one knows where the inventory is, no one gets notified. And here, the inventory manager can get visibility into who is staffed or responsible for signing off. He can scrub into the future even further and see who is on staff for the sign-off, and then ultimately, who will be delivering it to the sub-inventory location. So I'm really excited about the maps in particular, because imagine when we get into manufacturing, how we can zoom in even further on a manufacturing line, zoom into a product, and so on and so forth. So with that, I will hand over the stage to Rick. Thank you.
Thank you. That's cool stuff. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Diego. Okay, let me bring it home here. We as supply chain professionals have gone through multiple iterations of things around supply chain. And initially we looked at trying to make things as efficient as possible and productive and lowering costs. We then started to focus on quality and Six Sigma practices and issue to resolution capabilities, and then focusing on integrating product development practices and leveraging outsourced manufacturing and optimizing supply and things like that. The problem that we have now is that the markets that we serve, the products and services that we offer, and the vehicles that we deliver to our customers are all changing extremely rapidly simultaneously. And what we really believe and what our vision is here is we need a more intelligent supply chain. And that is what our focus is. And it's really about detecting things that are going on inside of your enterprise and outside, both good and bad, and determining how to take advantage of them or to deal with the issues that are caused, decide the best course of action as a result, and then have the tools to fully execute on those decisions. And that's what we're building here at Oracle with our Intelligent Supply Chain Cloud. It all starts with data. Lots and lots and lots and lots of data. I think we talked about that a few times today. But it's data coming in from the machines, coming in from the assets, syndicated data coming in over the web, consumer data, commerce data, the like coming in from business networks. First of all, what's very key is determining what data is important and what is noise, and then reacting to that data. And that's really where the IoT applications that we have built come into play, with providing digital twin simulations, trend and anomaly detection, as I mentioned before, predictive capabilities, and the like, to really drive then the decision process. And that's where our AI and business analytics and planning applications come into play. So analytics from the perspective of determining what is going on, but then our AI machine learning applications to determine why those things are going on, to determine the causal factors associated with that and make recommendations for improvements. And then there is the planning products that bringing external data, external causal factors, demand forecast information, developing those forecasts, developing the demand plan, supply chain planning, then determining based on what material and resources are available, what's the best way to supply that, and of course, having integrated business planning to make sure that the plans and the planned sales and the overall revenue and financial things associated with that are in sync. So to make the right decisions. But no decision is good unless you can execute on those decisions. And what we certainly have is full end-to-end business functions in our core business applications to allow you to fully execute on those overall capabilities. And the one point that I did miss as far as this external data and determining the noise from the important events and the important data is that we need a unified data lake that can not only maintain the structured data, but the unstructured data and the semi-structured time series data. Now, my point here, I mentioned just 2 minutes ago that this is our vision. It's more than a vision, it's reality. This is what we have now. And some of the things that we also have mentioned, the global visibility aspect to it, is dashboards, whether it's web-based, whether it's desktop, whether it's mobile, whatever, it needs to be viewed by all people inside your enterprise and connected with your enterprise, and have the necessary collaboration and then in turn, blockchain transactions that can be reviewed by everyone within the tight circle to be able to come to the right conclusions. So again, the intelligent supply chain is our vision, but it's also reality today. And I ask you to take a look at what you think at our Intelligent Supply Chain Cloud and see what it can do for you and for your enterprise, and see what it can do to help you with the digital challenges along the way. So again, thank you very much, and thanks for attending.